Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and a puzzle that was recommended to us by Niranjan, he had a go at this in the Sudoku Grand Prix round that was a weekend ago, and was very interested in how we would go about it. Now, full disclosure, I had a go at that round of the Sudoku Grand Prix, which is a competition run by the World Puzzle Federation 8 times about every 4 weeks in the first half of the year, first 7 months of the year. There are puzzles published, and you have an hour and a half to try as many of the 13 or so puzzles as you can and submit the solutions, and that you are basically playing a competition against the best Sudoku solvers in the world. There's not a lot of sports and pursuits where you actually get to compete alongside the best in the world on the same terms, but this is one. And this puzzle was one with new rules. The round was done by the Czech Sudoku Federation, and you have to wait till the answers come out before you find who created each individual puzzle, which is an unusual feature of the Grand Prix. But this one, it turns out, was by Jan Vondrushka, and full disclosure, I did look at it for about a minute. It was the highest point value. It was worth 89 of the, I think it's 720 points, for which you get an hour and a half. Now, cleverer people than me will be able to tell you how long you should take over this, but I feel it's something like about 50 minutes. 15 is what I'm trying to say, 15 minutes. If you were planning to solve all the puzzles and finish in a world-class time. Now, I do not manage to solve all the puzzles. I think I once did it in a round of the Grand Prix once, which is obviously an outlier easy round. It is very unusual for me to achieve that. I don't even aim for it, and I normally don't try, or as this time I guess, only briefly try the hardest ranked puzzle, just because I think I get a disproportionate waste of time if I do that one. So we'll see how it goes. I thought it was a very interesting rule set, which I've never seen before, and I'm looking forward to giving it a go. The Grand Prix is a very good source of puzzles with relatively straightforward rule sets, and they're not so difficult that they would take, you know, a good solver half an hour ever. Well, that's not necessarily true. Maybe some of the hardest could take a good, what I'm calling a good solver who might go to the World Sudoku Championship, half an hour, but that would be an extreme. So it's a good source of those puzzles, and you should generally join the World Puzzle Federation or your own national puzzle federation anyway. Especially as a lot of people write to us and say, how can I compete at solving Sudoku? I think I'm getting better. This is a great way to find your level, and you can beat me probably. So no, it wasn't this puzzle that I struggled with. I broke one puzzle after trying it for some time, and the last puzzle I was working on, which was worth quite a few points, I did not manage to submit because I was about a minute away from finishing it when my time ran out. So it was that's the sort of thing that leaves a nasty taste in the mouth. In some ways, it was a terrible set for me, although I did get a few puzzles finished. And I did at least remember to take part this month, which is good. Now, I'll do the rules in a moment. Don't forget, we've got loads of extra stuff on Patreon. We've got all our apps, which are another great source of manageable level puzzles by some of the best constructors in the world again. We've got Sven SUDOKU PAD and our merch, all on the links under the video, so very well worth checking out in general. But this puzzle is the first link. It's called Czech Outsider Sudoku, and the rules are these. Normal Sudoku rules apply, 1 to 9 in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. A digit outside the grid must appear on the diagonal indicated by the arrow at least as many times as it is shown. So there must be a 5 on that diagonal somewhere, at least one, and there must be at least 2 5s on that diagonal. Don't read these numbers outside the grid as 46 and 19. That's meaningless, it's just digits. So, relatively simple rule set. I did think when I was looking at this puzzle for the minute I looked at it for, that it would probably be easier to solve on a computer than on paper, which was what I was trying at the time. So we'll see if that turns out to be true. I doubt that I'll be 15 minutes over it. Let's have a go though. Let's get cracking. And it'll be longer because I'm going to be explaining what I'm doing to you. So this set of digits is a 5, 6, 7 because of that clue. And this set is a 4, 5, 8. They are just mandatory. I mean, I can see that that's telling me that there's no 4 in those cells, but there's still an awful lot of cells on that diagonal for a 4 to appear on. So that doesn't look that helpful. Oh, obviously this is a 2, 3 pair. Oh, look, we've got 2 cell clues in each corner. That's interesting. No 1 cell clues. Right, and there's an X-wing on 6s, a virtual X-wing, because 6 must appear in one of those 2 cells and in one of those 2. That's using up the 6s for, yeah, I'm going to get a digit here. I certainly didn't get this in the first minute when I was trying it on paper. Well, there must be a 6 in column 3 in one of those cells. And now, look at this 6, 7 clue. That is saying that there is a 6 somewhere in those 4 cells. Well, it can't be here because of the 3, 6 pair, and it can't be here because of the 6s there, so it must be there. And we've got something, and that gives me some other disambiguation of those pairs that we looked at earlier. There must be a 6 in one of those 2 now. When I put a mark in the corner, it indicates the cells within a box that a digit is confined to. But when I put it in the center, it's one of the candidates. I suppose, of course, there are only 4 candidates. And look, this can't be 3 or 6. It also can't be 4, 5, 8 or 1, 2 in the corner. So that's 7 or 9. This is 3, 7 or 9. And up here, we've used 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 there. We've got 1, 4, 8, 9. It's not that helpful up there. But what I'd expected to use much more quickly was the double digits. So there has to be 2 5s on this diagonal. Therefore, there is 1 in each of those boxes. And therefore, the 5 within box 2 is confined to those cells. And similarly within box 4. And I saw another one. There's a 1, 1 thing here. So that's, and a 7, 7 thing here. Is there another one? Have I missed one? No, I can't see a similar clue down the side. So 1 and 9 are in those cells. Yeah, there's a, right. That 4 has ruled 4 out of all of those cells. So on this diagonal, we get to place 4. Now there's going to be a 5 in one of those 3 cells. Is that any use? Or does it rule out something else? No, I don't think it does. 7 is similarly in one of those. 2 and 8 are there. I'm not pencil marking them because I don't see how it helps me to do that yet. This is quite tricky actually at this point, I would say. I mean, I'm quite pleased with what we've done, but okay, I am going to give a little thought to 5 down this diagonal. It can't be there. We've obviously pencil marked those. It can't be there because 5 in that box is in one of those. And similarly, it can't be there. 5 has to be in one of those 3 cells. Okay, that doesn't do anything yet, but it's probably worth bearing in mind. Now, there was a 2 X-wing in the same way as we had the 6 X-wing on the left. So 2 is confined to one of those cells. Yeah, and we've got this. Yes, that is exactly the same principle. We're going to get to place the 2 on this diagonal. So think about that for a second if you can't see it immediately. But we've just said 2 is in one of those cells in box 6, so it can't be there. We know 2 is not here because there's a 1, 2 pair here. So the 2 on this 2, 7 diagonal is there. Now the 7 is not there because we've pencil marked 7 in box 6. So 7 is in one of those two cells and not in the corner, which now becomes a 9 thanks to the pencil marking. That's now not a 9. These are from 3, 6, 7. That one's not a 7 because we just said 7 is in one of those two. Is it worth colouring? I can't click outside the grid, but I could colour the cell next to the clue outside the grid when I've found it. I'm not going to do that actually. Oh, we need a 5 on this diagonal and it can't be in this box. That is very likely to be a 5, I think. But that could be where the 5 goes. And I don't want to pencil mark those because it's pencil marking across in different boxes, rows and columns, and I wouldn't know what it meant. Although it might be important to understand it. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Now, right, 1s. 1 is within boxes 2 and 6 is in those cells because of the 1, 1 clue. And that means neither of these are a 1 on the 1, 5 clue. So one of these is a 1. And this is now, look, that's a naked single now. That's got to be 8. It sees 5, 6, 7 as a triple, 2, 3 as a pair in the box. It also sees 4 and 9 in the row and column. And we've just now determined it can't be a 1. So that's an 8, and that's not. And that's not. And these are from 1, 4, 9, and obviously one of these two is a 4. And we've secluded 1 within those cells, so that one isn't a 1. And 5 we said is going to be in one of these two. 5 is going to be in one of those 3. Is there an interplay between those that we can use? There might be. I can't see it. No, there's just some clue I haven't used. We can find... 7 has been confined to those two pairs because their bottom cells have been taken on 7 arrows, basically. So 7 in row 9 is now in one of those two. I thought that was going to do it. 2 is in one of those two, but 8 is in any of the 3 cells there. 6 we've... yes, 7 was on one of these 3 cells, and the fact that we've confined 7 there means it's here. And that's not a 7 by Sudoku, and that's not a 7, and we place 7 in row 9. And one of those two is a 7 now. That was good for 7s. Wasn't there some other 7 somewhere still to be resolved? We've got that pair and that pair, and that pair. Oh, and a triple up here. No, I'm nowhere near resolving all the 7s. Is there another 7 clue? I don't think so. What I am going to do is draw some lines for the really long diagonals, because I have the capability of doing that. So this diagonal needs a 9 on it somewhere. And I mean, maybe I can't do that at the moment, but it'll suddenly become important at a moment when I'm not expecting it. Okay, that needs, oops, it's gone wrong at the end. That needs a 4 on it, but it can't be there or there. So I can restrict where, and it also can't be here or here. So it can't be there. So the 4 is in one of those 3 cells on pink. Actually, yes, I could just get rid of some of the orangeness here. We need a 9, so it can't be on the end cells. Let's carry on doing that with the really long ones. So there's a 5 somewhere in this column, in this diagonal. And there's a 2 somewhere here. And it can't be in any of those cells. It can't be there by Sudoku or there by pencil marking. And I've just realized this 2 is untangled the 2s that we had elsewhere, which I hadn't noticed, obviously, before. I know you'll say I'm too fixated on the Sudoku angle and not the... too fixated on the lines angle and not the Sudoku. So 5 can't be in this cell either because we've pencil marked 5s. Oh, it also can't be in this cell, row 6, column 3. But because I've done this by lines, I don't want to remove the line through that. I'm just going to have to try and remember that. I wonder if those 4 digits are going to form a little diamond in the central box before we're finished. Don't know. Right, now I need to find another clue or do some Sudoku. Yes, that's 5 or 8. That's 4, 5 or 8. Don't feel I have enough digits to really do much Sudoku yet, so I'm going to keep looking for clues. Now, 1 and 9 are in those. Ah, 5 can't be there because we've got 5 limited here, so 5's in one of those 2. Now, that forms a virtual X-wing with 5 in those 2, and the 5 in column 1 has to be here or here. There aren't many clues I haven't looked at, unfortunately. So maybe it's still going to matter that 5 is in one of those 2 cells. I don't see... I mean, it stops that being a 5, but that's not relevant, surely, at the moment. Oh, that can't be a 1. That can't be a 1, since we got the 1 down here. That's the top one is more important because it places 1 in box 3, and that places 1 in box 2. And that means 1 is in one of those 2 cells, but it's also on that 1, 9 diagonal, so the overlap is there. That means 1 is in one of... 2 and 8 are a pair here since we got that 7. Well, that's good. That makes this corner a 5. 1, 4, 9 here, and the 1 has just decided where they are going. That's a 4, 9 pair. Now I can go back to my line. 5 can't be there or in box 6. So 5 is now in one of those 2 cells in box 5, forming an X-wing with 5 there, which places 5 in one of these 3 cells. And that is important because of this 5, 1 clue. Now that can't be 5 and the 5 is here. Gosh, I mean, this would be much harder on paper. I have to believe that. And that's become a 7. Why couldn't it be a 6? Is that a correct pencil mark or a wrong one? Oh yeah, because a 6 is in the row already. Sorry, don't know why I suddenly panic about that sort of thing. 5 is now in one of those cells and one of those cells, so it's placed in box, whatever this is, box 6. This line was a 4 line, so it's... Oh, what am I doing? So we can get rid of that bit of it. So now 4 is in one of those 2. I think that diamond I was talking about in the center might well come true. Oh, 7 is looking at that cell. That's a 3, that's a 6, that's a 7. 5, 6, 3, 1, 7. That's not a 1, so 1 is placed in this box. There it is. 7, 1, 5, 6, 3. These include 2. 8, 3, 1, 2, 9. 7 in this column has to be in one of those 2 cells, but in this box it has to be in one of those can't do it, those 2, so it's there. This is 4, 5, or 6. 7 is now in one of those 3 cells in the central box. That's 2, 3, or 8, interestingly. Now, which clues have I not dealt with? Not many of them. This one, a 3 and a 5 on that.
Okay, I'll come back to that. Obviously the clues where I've left lines, right, there's a 9 in one of those two cells, on the 1, 9. We know there's a 5 in one of those two. That seems to make this a naked 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, taking its clothes off. And that's a 9 there. Because I've isolated 5, 7 and 9 within this box to those areas, that's how I knew it was naked. And this digit is 2 or 8. 3, 4, 7, 6, 5. So we need a 1 in one of those two cells. Now, what is, oh, it's 2 and 8 that I haven't fully pencil marked here. Anyway, I was going around the clues. 5, and there's a 5 in one of those two. And a 5 in one of those two. And in one of those two, oh, that's not 5. Right, let's keep going around the clues. We know there's a 5 in one of those. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 5, that's done. 1, 1 is done. We need a 4 there, we know that. 1, 2 is done. 4, 5, 8. 2 and 7, 7 in one of those. We've pencil marked that. Now, 9 somewhere on this crazy long diagonal. That's about the only clue I haven't really... that and this 3, 5 clue are the ones I haven't tackled. So let's have a look. Okay, the 3 is confined to one of those two cells, I think. All the others C3s. I'm going to colour them. 3 is in one of those cells. What does that do? That feels powerful. 5 is either there in this box or in one of those two. But 3 is stuck in one of these. Well, my time has gone well just past the 15 minutes. Now, one of those is a 3, that's just Sudoku. 4, 9, 1, 6, 3. Ah, you see, this is where you really feel bogged down during a competition. If you get stuck, you know, you're so far into this puzzle, you have to finish it now because the time invested kind of means that. But it's very tough. 3 is also in one of these 3 cells by Sudoku, as is 6. Ah, the pencil marking's getting tricky now. 5, 7, 1, there's a 2, we know that, I've marked it in one of those. 3 is in one of those. Feels like 3s are very significant, but I can't quite get to why. 4, 7, 4, 9, 3, 6, 1. This is 2, 5, or 8. We need a 5, I don't know, I mean, okay, 3 is in one of those two cells. Why can I not work out which one and then use it? 4, 7, 5, or 2. Oh, if I could have ruled 2 out of those two, then wherever it was there would fix that, which is quite interesting. So why should 2 not be able to be here when I actually thought originally it probably would be here on the blue line? I don't know. This is where it gets tough. Now, come on. 2, 8 pair. You can probably see what I'm missing. Because it's a Grand Prix puzzle, it won't be quite as hard as I'm finding it now. Except for me, I guess. 4, 9, 5, 1, 3. I mean, this is pretty difficult. 5, 5, 5. 7, 5, 7, 5, 4, all confined within there. Oh, if I could find another digit that was confined in that region, and 1 almost is. 1 is in one of those cells. Then I would have in its sort of exclusion zone in the central box. Oh, I've got 7 sitting there looking at that cell. That is just Sudoku. That will probably be enough to really get me going. Look, what that does is makes this into a 4, 5, 7 triple, which is absolutely weird in a way. It really is, and that is going to deal with the lines that have 7 and 5 on them. So let's get rid of those. It deals with that one and this one. Oh no, the one that has 4 and 5 on. I don't think there was a long line that had 7 on, sorry. But anyway, those are dealt with. That's a 4, 5, 7 triple. Now 1 is in one of those 2 cells, can't be anywhere else. That must be helpful and indeed crucial. 7 is in one of those 2. Oh, I knew that. Come on, what else does it do? Right, it stops that being a 9 and it stops this being a 2. But this can still be a 2. I mean, there could be any number of 9s here. I don't see how this resolves. Yeah, that long line and it's 9, that's really annoying me now. 3, 6 are in these. That 4, 5, 7 triple, it seems massive. Why is it not finishing the puzzle? It's a great spot. This is 2 or 8. Look, it sees 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in its column, 1 in its row, and a 9 in one of those. That can't be 9. There is the point. That 4-9 pair was looking at that. So that, it's just straightforward if I'd spotted it. That's so irritating. And it does so much instantly. Look at all this unwinding just because of that one spot of 9 being in one of those 2 and fixing 9 there, which I could have done ages ago if I had but seen it. And look at that. All these corner boxes are pretty much unwound apart from that 4-9 pair, ironically. This is a 2, 4, 5 triple, but we know 5 has to be on the diagonal. So this is now a 3, 6 something. 3, 6, 8 as a trio. Now we need a 2 on this line, and now we know where it is. It's in the middle, which is a little bit surprising. That fixes 4 and 2. That fixes 2 over here. That's become a 4. So the 9 on this line is not here. It's either here or here, and that's lovely because I can use that to say that this has to be a 4. And then this has to be a 9. And in fact, there are 2 9s on that line. Let's get rid of the lines now. They're all done. But they were very helpful, actually, to me. So, now, one of these 2 is going to be a 3. And I think that's the last deduction I'm going to need. I have available from the outside clues. That's not a 1-9 pair. They're resolved. That fixes 1 in the middle. That fixes 1 on the left. That 5 has sorted out the triple in the center. This is 3 or 8. Oh, don't know which. That's also 3 or 8. So we've placed 4 there. Looking up and down the middle, we've got 3, 6, 8 to place. So 8 goes there, 6 goes there, and 3 goes down here. Right, now the 3 in the yellow is there now. And that has used up all my outside clues completely. I won't need any anymore, and I think I'm just finishing off. That is a very clever puzzle, but you know, what I find difficult about that is there's so much stuff to do with the clues outside the grid that it makes it very hard to keep concentrating on all the little aspects of Sudoku that pop up. I mean, it's very easy for you if you happen to be looking at that 4-9 pair going, why doesn't he spot it? But for me, scanning the whole grid, since it doesn't appear as a whole digit, that's much harder to see, and I wasn't specifically looking for it. So I was brilliantly misled by Jan Vondrushka, and that's a clever puzzle. Thank you to Niranjan for recommending it, and thanks for watching us on the channel as always. A pleasure to be with you. Hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.